Well, despite the Lakers having nothing to play for today, that was not the case for a majority of the Western Conference, especially the part that's trying to become part of the postseason. Apart from them, the OKC Thunder and the Houston Rockets, aka the top 3 seeds, pretty much every other team had something to play for, including the Denver Nuggets, who won their game today, thus becoming the 4th seed and avoiding the play-in tournament. But if they had lost, they then would have fallen to the 6th seed or the 7th seed depending on who else won or who else got beat. And then for their round 1 matchup, they will be playing against the LA Clippers, who won an absolute thrilling overtime victory over the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers' potential round 1 matchup, but that's no longer the case. Because Golden State got beat, they are now in the play-in tournament and becoming the 7th seed, something the Lakers have been very familiar with in the past couple of years now. And instead, the Lakers will be matching up with the Minnesota Timberwolves, which in my opinion does happen to be the better matchup. Not saying that either matchup would be easy or a particularly great matchup, but if I had the choice, and luckily I kind of do get my way here, I would have picked Minnesota over Golden State. Not simply because Golden State beat the Lakers last time out, albeit in a tough back and forth game throughout the entire game, but simply about the matchup, the veteran leadership, the championship background, and their ceiling compared to Minnesota's ceiling. I think it's all around a better team for them to play against, and especially in a 7-game series. And don't worry, we'll definitely talk more about that in any more in-depth breakdown in the future, which will probably be my next video after this one. But more about a surface level breakdown and talking about the entire Western Conference matchups. For the OKC Thunder, obviously don't know their matchup yet, could be anyone from the Sacramento Kings, Dallas Mavericks, Golden State Warriors, or Memphis Grizzlies. Likely to be the Grizzlies in my opinion, Golden State probably winning that first round play-in matchup, thus pushing Memphis to another play-in tournament game, either against Sacramento or Dallas, which I could also see Dallas winning. But then after that point, like I mentioned, Denver and the LA Clippers will be matching up. Definitely a fun round 1 matchup and potentially one of the most competitive ones that could very well go to 6 or 7 games in my opinion. And then after that point, obviously for the Lakers here, they are the 3rd seed and will be matching up with the 6th seed Minnesota Timberwolves. A matchup of 2 teams that both made it to the postseason last year, the Lakers getting beat in round 1 by the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota eventually beating the Denver Nuggets, advancing to the Western Conference Finals, and then getting beat by the Dallas Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic. But then finally for the 2-7 matchup, obviously have the Houston Rockets here as the number 2 seed, but they're also waiting their round 1 matchup too. It either will be Golden State or Memphis, but if I had to pick and put money on it, I definitely would have to go with Golden State. Simply put, they're the better team in my opinion, the more well put together team, and then obviously are going through less team drama and team turmoil as well, which primarily comes from Memphis having fired their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, in literally the past couple of weeks now. A pretty odd thing for a playoff team to do, especially with only 5 to 10 games left to go. But they did it, they pulled the trigger, fired Taylor Jenkins, and although it's given their team a little bit of a boost, I'm not sure that'll be enough to carry them to a deep playoff run or even beyond the play-in tournament potentially. And well, if that does happen to be the case, Golden State beats Memphis, facing the Rockets and becoming their 2-7 matchup, I wouldn't put it past them to win that matchup and then potentially face the Lakers in round 2, if of course the Lakers win their round 1 matchup too. Which obviously would not rule them out from meeting up here. They're still in the Lakers playoff bracket despite not being the round 1 matchup, and it is a very likely scenario in my opinion. The Lakers beat Minnesota, the Warriors beat the Rockets, and then those two meet again in the 2nd round of the NBA playoffs, which will be a rematch from the 2023 NBA playoffs. Now again, not trying to get too far ahead of myself here, but simply to address the comments about trying to avoid Golden State or get out of their playoff bracket, that's not exactly the case here despite them not meeting in round 1, as they very well could meet in round 2 still. But getting back to their actual round 1 matchup here, that being the Minnesota Timberwolves, and well, they were not separated by much in regard to wins this season. The 3rd seed Lakers ending with a 50-32 record, and then the 6th seed T-Wolves finishing with a 49-33 record, really telling you about how close the West ended up being here. The 3rd seed Lakers having 50 wins, and then the 8th seeded Grizzlies having 48 wins, only being separated by 2 games and a bunch of tiebreakers between them. But again, not a whole bunch of separation between them, Only 50 wins for the Lakers, 49 for the T-Wolves, and that did show from their matchups between each other this season. They played 4 games and they did split between them, the Lakers taking the first game on opening night of the NBA season, winning that game 110-103, albeit with a very different team than they have now. No Luka Doncic, instead having Anthony Davis, and then running a bunch of their offense and entire system around AD, which ultimately led to them struggling against the T-Wolves next time out, losing their second matchup to them 80-109, a pretty brutal defeat and definitely not a good game for them. And then once again after that, losing on December 13th, 87-97. But then after the trade deadline and getting Luka Doncic, did win their final matchup between each other, winning that game 111-102. Again, splitting the matchup between them, the Lakers taking both games on their home court, and the T-Wolves taking both games on their own home court. And with that in mind here, having home court advantage definitely could be beneficial and may ultimately decide this series. If it would come down to 7 or 6 for that fact, the Lakers definitely have the advantage here. Having home court advantage, having the first 2 games on their home court, and definitely could take the early lead over Minnesota. After all, the Lakers were a great home court team this season, one of the best in the entire league actually, the second best home record in the Western Conference, finishing with a record of 31-10 on their own home court, trailing only the OKC Thunder with a 35-6 home court record, and then only behind the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East, finishing with a 34-7 home record. So again, that's definitely crucial for this matchup between them. I mean, directly pointing to their matchups this season, that was a big deciding factor between them, home court advantage. Like I said, the Lakers won both games on their home court, and the T-Wolves won both games on their own home court, splitting the season series 2-2, and if they would translate to the playoffs, that might mean something like the Lakers going up 2-0, winning both games on their home court, then going to Minnesota, losing both games and the T-Wolves splitting the series 2-2, then eventually going back to LA going up 3-2, and then maybe taking it after that, or at the bare minimum, splitting it 3-3, and having home court advantage for Game 7. And then with that, against a team like Minnesota, you know it's going to be a dogfight. They are very defensive minded and do tend to keep the scoreboard pretty low. I mean, pointing to their matchups again here, the Lakers won their first matchup scoring 110 points, and that's not very high for a point total. Then their second matchup, the T-Wolves scoring 109 points. Third matchup, scoring 97 points and also winning that game. Then for their fourth and final matchup, the Lakers scoring 111, and although that might seem like a lot, all around those are pretty low totals for today's NBA. So again, like I said, having home court advantage will be absolutely crucial for this playoff matchup, and the Lakers are in fact the ones with it, which in my opinion should lead to them being the favorites and ultimately the ones who probably will win this matchup. Not only from that, but with the way they match up between them, and we definitely will talk more about that in depth during my next video. But in regard to the surface level here, they are matching up with Minnesota. I think it's a pretty good matchup for them. The only other team I would have picked over Minnesota would have been the Memphis Grizzlies, but obviously that wasn't an option for the final day of the regular season, so I'm not mad about Minnesota being their playoff matchup. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Lakers' first round matchup against Minnesota? Do you like the matchup? Would have you preferred a different team, and if you did, what team would have that been? And then how do you feel about the entire Western Conference matchups in general? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.